guys, welcome to the Zapata Brand Podcast. And today it is a pleasure to have Chris Colombo on my podcast. And what I want to say first, he has probably the greatest podcast title I've ever heard. Taking action with Chris Colombo is, if you were into gambling or betting on football or betting on any, the fact we're going to talk betting boxing too. The Chris Colombo's podcast is the one you want to go to. Do not listen to my podcast because I have picked everyone wrong in the last month.
Yeah, but can I interrupt you a second?
Sure.
There may be a variable, an outlook that you see that someone else misses that may help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a philosophy: forget the experience, remember the lesson. So you learn more from the losers than you do the winners.
Well, loser would be my category. I could tell you that. So maybe they're learning a lot from me. I highly doubt it, but
this is a weird year.
I think it is.
Sports betting has definitely affected the NFL.
Well, just some of the things I want to ask you about, Chris. This is Chris Colombo. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You just started off by saying it's a weird year in the NFL. Can you elaborate a little bit on why you feel that?
Well, I'm going to tell you why. Inherently, fans wanted their team to win. Didn't care if they won by 1. Didn't care if they lost by 20. Excuse me, just had a cup of coffee. Gambling was an underground thing, hush hush. But the NFL has always promoted gambling because it's the only sport that puts out an injury report, because that affects the line. Newspapers carry the line, but they said it was illegal. So the NFL basically is America's sport to bet on. It always has been. It's like modern day gladiators, which boxers were and still are, in my opinion.
Right.
It's a rough sport, but it's also an exciting sport. You know, people like full contact sports. That's why you see MMA becoming as popular as it is.
Right.
So we got to remember the average life of a football player is 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 1,300 NFL players, and how many people looking to get in? And not everybody makes huge money, and the refs don't make that much money. So gambling is an incentive to make some money on the side if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think there's an NFL conspiracy? Absolutely not. I think there is an NFL desire to give the people what they want.
You don't think there's a conspiracy at all?
No, I don't think the NFL fixes their games. No. I'm going to tell you why. We live in a world of stool pigeons and somebody give it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it makes sense. But it does always seem that, Las Vegas is in a desert. They have the air conditioner full blast with the windows open. They don't lose. If how are those lines so close though? By half a point, 0.3. I mean, they can't be
hasn't been that close.
You don't think?
Theoretically, if the handicappers were correct, every game would fall on the line.
Mm-hmm.
So look how much difference the line is to what they do. But when you gamble, you want to have the best of it, like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you apply for a loan. Would you take 9% or you want 7%? You want 7%.
Correct. So
at the end of the year, the pennies add up, trust me, and the line dictates the game. A line at 3 is not the same game as 6.
Mm-hmm.
But
makes
there's
sense.
some players that believe, and some teams and coaches, that gambling is no good. Some believes it is good. Now, there's merchandising behind selling your jerseys, TV time, endorsements. So now the players, the fans, there's an estimated 12 million people going to bet, I believe, $45 billion this year on the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a lot of money. Now, that's a lot of fans. And those fans don't care if you win, but they want you to win by the points they laid. They don't care if you lose as long as you don't lose as much. So it's a completely different dynamic to the game. And not only that, because it's legal, when you go to Giant Stadium or Jet Stadium in New Jersey, you have a phone, you're going to put a bet in.
Well, that was one of the questions. Where do you lie on that? Where do you fall as far as, okay, you're getting into a position where the monies are starting to get pretty. The NFL's now teaming up. They have this used to be totally illegal. They're representing FanDuel, DraftKings.
Yeah, they're advertised everywhere.
They're advertised everywhere, and but not only that, they have spokesmen that played in the league, that are currently playing in the league for some of them, which was totally illegal back in the day. Is that not a slippery slope where we're heading?
what you're heading for is a corrupt game. I
Correct.
know I'm
Which
making 100,000, 120,000 years of ref. Refs are tight knit. We could change the game.
Mhm.
How that can be stopped is, and I've said it continuously, there have been a lot of games where pass interference and personal fouls are not reviewable. And those are the ones that are 15 yards minimum and up to as far as the quarterback can throw the ball. So
right, and that begs to the question, um, is it a possibility that it's going on currently?
I've seen some things that make your head spin, and so has everybody else. The Steelers have said it. The Colts game a few weeks ago, I mean, they practically pushed them in the end zone. Yeah.
Okay. So the easiest sport to
And the other thing is
corrupt.
people inherently want to bet overs. The smart action, the wise guy goes for unders. Why you want to bet an over is you're always in the game. If you bet an under and it's looking like it's over in the second quarter, and it goes over, like what I mean by an over or an under is they say 42 points is the total there should be. So you can bet over 42 or under 42. Most people like to take the over because they're always in the game up until the point they win. If you take under 42 and they score 40 points in the first half, the excitement's gone. But they also
So
hit you with live action, second half, first half, third quarter, fourth quarter, proposition bets, and the volume is astronomical. They can't lose. And the odds that they're giving, they've all but destroyed money lines.
mhm,
Inherently, a money line it's based on what the point spread is. So let's say a game is 6 points. Let's say, for argument's sake, the Kansas City Chiefs are 6 points favored over the Buffalo Bills. Not that either
right,
one is a better team; they're both great teams.
mhm,
So the money line would be about 190. So anything
okay,
under 200 is supposed to be a 10-point spread. So if you take it, you lay 180 to win 100. If you lose it with Kansas City, you pay 180. If you win it, you get 100. You're supposed to get 170 if you bet the Bills. They're giving you
right.
130s, 135s. So exponentially at the end of the year, on a 30, 40, 50-point spread, you have no shot to win if you bet the money line.
Oh, well, I mean, you seem to have figured it out, which gets me to my question. When did you first when was your first, like, experience, I would say, in putting I would say making a book, um, in that
That
business?
happened by accident.
Okay. And you just knew?
No, no, you go to the school of hard knocks.
Okay. And what
In
was
those
that like?
days to bet, you didn't just open an office, you didn't know how to do it. You didn't have the support. It's like opening a stock brokerage firm or opening a mortgage company or a finance company. There's skills involved.
Right.
Follow me? You have to
Mhm.
know how to do it. You have to know how to set a line. You have to know what the sharper line is. You have to know how to move a line. You not have to write the tickets. You have to know to do the ledger. I mean, this was done prior to computers. But I learned it from the guy that started bookmaking. It happened to be by accident. A friend of mine had a sports bar at a very young age. We were both young. We hung out together. He asked me to get him involved with an office. I go down. I see Chris's son. They said, give him what he want. He got a half sheet. So that means your customers are calling. Let's call it what I used to use. My codes was I was Ghost. So I was 100 for Ghost. That means I was the top guy. And then I give out 101, 102, 103, 104 for Ghost, 105 when you called in. And that's who they knew who you were. And then you go on a half sheet. Sometimes they give you 20%, 25, 30, 50 was the most you could get. That meant if your guys won 10,000, they give it to you in the red for 10,000. Next week they lose 20, you give them back their 10, you keep five each. Next week they lost 20, 10 each. That was a half sheet. I got him that. He got all jammed up and he was betting. First week he wins in the very early 80s, late 70s. 40,000 was a lot of money. I think it was the exact figure. I told the story when I was 37. I gave it to him and then he won again. I brought it to him and then he lost close to what they laid out. He had nothing. So I took the hit, said I was gambling. I worked it out. They got paid. He did it again. And then I became his partner. Eventually, he was just,
Wait, he did it again?
he kept doing it. Yeah. Degenerate gamblers are like, they're like guys that take fentanyl. The closer that high is to death, the better and more excited they get. It's not about winning or losing. It's about the action.
So you let him do it again? Or
What
it's
are they
just
going to do?
yeah, I mean, at
You
that
got the
point,
edge.
At
He was
that
ahead
point,
of the
yeah,
game.
you have to let him go at that point.
Listen, an alcoholic, you can see who he is. A drug addict, you see it on them. A
Mhm.
degenerate gambler is a very likable, conning, and they can suck money quicker than the other two because they could
Yeah,
100,000 this week and lose 10 next week and not be able to pay you.
that's unbelievable. You know what?
It's
The same endorphins that get released from,
it's the
alcohol and drug
addictive
addiction,
personality and the
it's the
addictive
same
gene.
ones. That's why it's so hard to get off of that, drug.
And
Now
now making it legal was the same reason why people with the Oxycontins have gotten addicted because they have the addictive personality. So they start out addictive to the pharmaceutical drug, which I think is not bad.
so
And I think the pharmaceutical companies took advantage of that. Why would you build a painkiller that's a heroin opiate derivative that is 100 times more addictive and 20 times more powerful?
that
And you could
that
smoke
does
it, shoot it, or snort it.
that would raise some eyebrows
Yeah, it
at some
does.
point. It really would. Um, let's change a little course to the casinos.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know that you have. I know that the sports is where you're an expert. I'm going to tell you you're an expert at it.
What is an expert? You know,
Someone who wins more than they lose in
uh,
that industry.
there's times you can lose more than you win, but you recover. But you
Well,
get the
right.
best of it. A sharp bettor gets the best of the line, the best of all categories, and has money management.
Well, you actually thewizard.com.
Yeah, that was
You actually that was you.
how'd you know that?
Oh, well, you know what? I bet there a couple times, to be quite honest with you.
That was my site. Beautiful
That was
girl
your
and wizard. I got
I
wizards
can
everywhere.
remember. I could remember when I was now you remember I was young at that time. I was like, "Huh."
The
And it was
wizardsports.com was me.
yeah, it was like an underground thing. Like, you know those, like, bootleg video recorders you'd get? It was kinda like, "Hey, you gotta go to this website to bet." How did you pull that off?
I mean, how to pull it off. I
Like,
helped develop the software
you
that
developed the
they
software.
use today, but you can't patent it because it was a legal business.
Well, yeah, well, now look at it. You know what I mean? Look
Everybody
at it
says
now.
over the hill and everything, but I was the guy that brought it forward. One of.
Right. And that was amazing because I was thinking about it, I said, "Holy cow." That I could remember betting on that site. It was one of
I
those
was very
underground
big,
ones. Yeah.
and I
So
was
when
fair too. The lines were fair.
and you came up with the lines yourself, or did you go to a paper and say, "This is what the line is gonna be?"
No, 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 no. I said that's the
You just
real
got your
wizard
lines.
bookmaker. He's
Okay.
an odds maker. He sets the lines. No,
Okay.
I checked other lines, set it. That's what I did.
Okay. See, that's why I say
New
you have to
York
be an
line
expert.
was the sharpest line in America.
The New York line?
The New York line, yes, bookmakers.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying when I say I call you an expert, I believe you're an expert. When because you can
Well,
show that
I
line
went 1 for 3 this week, 2 for 3 last week.
2 for
Uh,
3. I saw that.
yes.
Yeah.
Inherently, people are pushing me, and early on in the season, I went 4 for 4, then I went 6 for 7, and I had a bad week where they said I was 6 and 1, but I was 5 and 2. But a lot of strange
Mhm.
things happened. I inherently like to pick one team. Sometimes I don't pick any in a week. It has to match everything I like. I've been stretching it because America wants more.
Okay.
More you
Yeah.
bet, and the more teams you bet is what's called a trap. That's what traps you. It's like a
Right.
casino.
Mhm. The casino is where I think the where most of the money is made as far as because you can get any player. Like, you know what I mean? You could have the grandma's social security going in there playing the lot slots or whatever.
The longer
It
you play, the less shot you have to win. That's why it's about time. It's not about money.
okay.
That's why,
So
right?
so let me ask you this. If I was to go to a roulette wheel, what is the and that's a horrible odds. But what are the
Not if you not if you have a good system.
exactly, that's what I was gonna ask you.
You bet
Is there a
multiple
system?
numbers, whatever. Yes,
Is there a system out there that you have put that because obviously again, you've come up with
money management is the key to any gambling.
okay. So if I was gonna go there and I said, Here's $1,000, would you wait or would you jump in or see, how would you do that on a roulette wheel?
There's actually no waiting, but there's odds of what numbers come out or didn't come out.
Mhm.
It's just rule of thumb of just keep rolling. It's like flipping a quarter. How many times you have whatever.
Okay.
But there's certain ways to bet it, red and black, but it does pay 35 to 1.
Yeah, I've had a couple of
The
those.
only odds is the double zero, which makes
I
it
love
30.
that. I love the green. I put the green on all the time.
Yeah,
Have to cover
you hit that,
that.
life's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
hit
a
that a couple times.
crapshooter. I wanna hold the dice and think
Why
I
does
made it
everyone like craps? I don't like that
because
game.
it's the crack of gambling.
Is it
If
really?
you want a good roll on a crap table, it is the most exhilarating high you'll ever get in your life. People are cheering, the dice is rolling, you feel you're in control.
I bet it could go to hell real quick.
Well, optimally, what they want because people bet against you. They bet wrong. They bet with the house. So
Mhm,
they like a choppy table, make a number, lose a number, so they get the odds on both.
mhm.
They
Okay,
don't want tables that just keep crapping out. They want it to be choppy.
moving. Okay. Alright, so, let me get into the boxing scenarios for you guys. That is the easiest, and I'm sure you've seen a bunch. To be quite honest with you, I knew a guy who took a few dives himself. It has you have you ever experienced, a situation in boxing where you knew somebody was going down?
No, because I'm going to tell you why. As a guy that loved gaming, I thought it was un-American.
Mhm.
People betting on you, your fans. I mean, you get beat fair and square. It's one thing to take a dive for money. That's your profession.
So you never
Like a
knew.
doctor killing somebody in a surgery or cutting his leg off for no reason. There's a
Okay.
certain oath.
Yeah, but I think there's honor amongst thieves in the boxing industry. Boxing industry is the dirtiest business on this planet. I can tell you that because I've been in it for decades.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I agree with that. I'm just telling you from a gaming standpoint.
Okay. So
Was Yeah, we would hear that's when you would see the no odds on this one.
okay. All right. I see
Oh,
what you're saying.
we
So have
just
you
take it off the board.
do you put odds up on boxing at all or no?
Oh, I did. I put odds up on everything. I even put odds up on my sentencing and under and over how much time I was going to get.
I bet you were hoping on the under on that one.
I got to tell you the truth. I bet the over and lost.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
Oh, and why would that be?
I don't know. I thought it was the best bet on the board.
Oh, man. Well, at least you bet on yourself.
I'm always for the underdog.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, it's an amazing thing how captivated this country has become and fascinated with the
People
NFL
are
game.
victims of marketing.
What's that now?
Watching it every day with podcasts. I mean, there's really some sad ones. And
Mhm.
people that have really not made any accomplished come and talk about people who've died. They rewrite history because they can't
Okay.
refute them. And a lot of these people they mentioned, I was there with. And
Okay. And again, I remember seeing you. You're probably one of the only people who've ever been in the presence of Carlo Gambino and Martin Luther King. That is that itself is an accomplishment. Um, but
I owe that to my father.
what's that?
I owe that to my father. He was very advanced in his civil rights.
Right, and if you
Oh,
could,
Gambino was a nice man.
and okay. So that is from all reports. Okay, yes, a nice man does whatever. Um, eh, some people would beg to differ only because of what had happened.
Well,
You
that's
know,
that's Hollywood and the COINTELPRO division, the FBI that want to control it, not destroy it, and they put these informants in that do heinous of crimes, and they have a backdoor out.
so your stance was that what
It
was your
was
stance
true.
there?
Yeah, Greg Scarpa killed, I don't know, 100 people, and he was working for the FBI. He was part of the COINTELPRO division to violently
True.
disrupt, you know?
Was he not ordered to, or no?
What do you mean ordered to? I mean,
Uh,
he killed women, he killed children.
yeah, I
Killed
mean
hot
that's
dog vendors. I mean, who would order him to do that?
yeah, no, and again, it's a give and take there with the history because
The
some people
the gentlemen of that era that represented it was an immigrant thing and
Mhm.
represented their neighborhoods and kept them impeccably clean. They didn't want
I
drugs,
agree.
they didn't want violence. So if somebody went, it was like a lunatic. And most of these lunatics are working for the government now.
Right. Okay. So my question on that was okay. So how did Greg get so close in? I mean, I would assume he was a made guy.
I don't know. I never asked them.
Okay. So if he was and he was killing people, that was part of the culture that was brought in from the higher ups.
I don't know what you mean by a higher up. Part of what culture?
We good
I mean, he
good.
was killing on the behest of the FBI. They were telling him where people were. He'd kill them.
Mhm,
They took Del Vecchio to trial, who was also a handler of the COINTELPRO division of the FBI. If you read the article on me in the New Yorker, it was
mhm.
proven. Professors went in and stole the files. They were next to Martin Luther King trying to convince him to kill himself. They were causing riots to show that the blacks and causing violence to show they were no good. They did
Okay,
that with the Jews. They did that with the Italians. They did that with everybody.
okay. Do you so when your father had
Italian
the
American Civil Rights League.
yes, Civil Rights League, when he put that together, so all the stuff that was put out there by the press was totally wrong?
They wouldn't even, and I tell the story of how he saved Johnny Carson. They wouldn't even show he was picketing FBI headquarters every night for 2 years with 300 to 3,000 people every single night because
Okay.
of the unfair practices they were doing. The
What
stop,
in what were they doing?
the Stapo tactics.
Okay. And they were making it, difficult for them to live a normal life, just
Well, you
without being
harass pregnant
harassed.
women and you go into
Right.
funerals and take people out at gunpoint for numbers policy. Tell the family you're never going to see him again. Would you say that's harassment?
Mhm.
The part of the harassment is they arrested my brother Joey and changed the law to do so when he was 17, 18 years old. That's how the league went full force.
Right.
Father
And
took me, my mother, and my younger sister was kicking on the doors of 69th Street when they arrested my brother Joey. They said he
okay.
was melting down silver coins, and he was. Quarters. They changed the law to arrest him. So let's say a quarter in 1968, when it was, or 69, was worth 36 cents. He was a coin collector. You collected all the silver quarters, you melted them down, and you got almost double your money.
And that was illegal?
They changed the law. They said it was interfering with interstate commerce, Hobbs Act.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and he was facing 20 years.
Oh my god.
Let me finish. And then that's what infuriated my father, that he would go after his son to do that to hurt him.
Mhm.
And then when he started kicking our door, and more people came, and more people, and they picketed. And my brother Joey was acquitted without us giving a defense. First time in federal history. We had
He
to
was
give a defense.
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, look it up.
Wow. So, your father then was shot, um, at one of the parades that he had or protests that he had there.
It wasn't a
Um,
protest.
what was it?
It was Unity Day. He made united with people from Martin Luther King, Maya Kahani, who was on the Parliament of Israel. The Jewish Defense League made a triumphant. The blacks, the Jews, and Italians would show unity against
Mhm.
oppression and for civil rights. That's how I come to meet Martin Luther King. That's how I come to
Oh,
be
that's
around
right.
Maya Kahani.
Okay. So, your father gets shot, a proud man, and lingers on there in a coma for a while.
No, he
Um,
wasn't in a coma. What had happened, I can tell you the story if you want to hear it.
sure, please, if you could.
He had made his point. He
Mhm,
wanted stigmatized names against Italians like mafia out of the thing, and he did it. They changed the directive. The attorney general and the president
mhm,
directed Hollywood newspapers and things there would be no more word mafia. Mafia stemmed
mhm.
from Sicily. It meant kill the French and get them out of our country. What that has to do, I don't know. There's no French in my basement. You got any?
No.
Sicily was invaded, and the people used to scream mafia, but it was the 5 letters abbreviation. I would tell you in Italian, but it's worse than my English, and that's bad. So it meant morta means dead. Avanti means out. French, out of
Mhm.
our country. Means kill the French and get them out of our country.
Right.
Cigarette. Thanks. See if there's a lighter there. So some journalists somewhere, like some of these stupid podcasts I see, come up with this idea and they call it mafia. Now, crime does exist and it exists in all ethnic groups. But crime belongs to the person who commits it. They own it. So it's like Colombo crime family. They brand the name. You're already done with that stigma. My father was shot in 71. How long ago was that? You do the math.
Okay, wait a minute. You're saying the guy who committed the crime
Whoever
should be
commits a crime owns it.
okay, but
What
on
book?
the books, it doesn't work like that.
How do you know?
Oh, well,
Nobody
because
told you?
no, it's in the books. It's been in the books for years.
What books? Who wrote it? Did you write it? I didn't write it.
No, it's been,
But
but
if
the
people
guys
care
have.
who wrote it,
Okay, wait a minute.
no
Hold on for a second.
basis of
Hold on for a second.
knowledge comes
Hold on.
from an
Hold on.
ignorant source.
Hold
And you
on for a
empower
second.
that, which makes your
Chris,
statements
how
empowering
am I
the ignorant. That's negativity.
Well, I'm not saying negative. What I'm saying here is, Chris, is this: if you go rob a place and you don't rob it, but you're the getaway vehicle, you both get charged.
You own that crime.
Okay, so if you, well,
Not
okay, but
because you're mafia, not because you're Cosa Nostra, not because you're Polish, you committed a crime.
right. So okay, so your stance is that they put that on. They put what on? They put the stigma of him being in a mafia. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
It's not even
Okay.
called that. You can't find anybody that was involved in crime of an Italian background that calls themselves mafia. Don't exist.
I believe that.
Not the
Yeah.
crime don't exist.
Okay. So now, okay. So go continue with your story there. Sorry.
Makes sense, right?
No, that makes sense. I just didn't know. I thought you were saying you should, unless you commit the crime, you shouldn't be charged with the crime. If you're all there grouped wise, is what I'm saying. Group
If
meaning
you didn't commit the crime, you shouldn't be charged with the crime.
you should. But what about
I didn't commit a crime. Why'd you charge me with it?
what's that?
Why should I be charged with a crime I didn't commit?
If you let's say Chris, George, and Joe are hanging out and we're all together, we're all gonna go commit a crime, but
And I committed a crime.
you did, and let's say you did.
Yeah.
Should I not be charged?
Did you commit the crime?
I was with you.
And you committed the crime.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're way we're way on two different
You
angles
commit a
here.
crime, you own that crime.
Correct.
Why do you own the stigma without committing the crime?
the stigma of
Whatever they paint you with.
so yeah, and I agree that look, look, Chris, I agree. They painted the picture of that.
Because it
agree.
suits their purpose.
Exactly. I do
What you're
believe that.
seeing on these violent streets is they're emulating these stupid TV shows and glorifying stool pigeons. These
Mhm.
people don't tell the truth. They do it to save this. And they want to say they were tough guys. I mean, I faced life at trial. I took responsibility for my actions. In my RICO case, I made my lawyer. I didn't allocute. Tell the jury, check guilty. He did it. Now,
Who
I
said
took
that?
responsibility for my yes, I did.
Are you
I took
kidding me?
responsibilities for my actions and what I did. Now,
Okay. And then you were when you were facing the life, what'd they give you?
I ended up beating every charge and went to jail for making a TV show. And gambling is on the books in the federal the same as trespassing. They don't give
Okay.
a shit about it. Excuse the language. First and
No, I
foremost.
don't. You can get curse whatever you want here.
I
This
don't
is
like
where
it because you don't know if women and children are watching. If it was just
well,
you and I.
I tell you, I'll tell you what. That alone, that statement you made there, that shows the kind of man you are.
My show is trying to help the kids learn so they don't be taken advantage of. I want people to have their own mind. If you call me on something, call me on it. I invite constructive criticism and I invite the truth.
Mhm.
I get angry and think they're in a position of what they know. A smart man realizes what they don't know, not what they do know. And if you do know something, you're obligated to share it when questioned. That's
Okay.
part of getting older.
Yeah, I think as growing up, you tend to lean more towards Democratic, but then when you get older, you're more Republican just because you take
That's
responsibility.
because you're told that. It's all part of the same thing. I mean, you
As
got
far as
people
what?
that's supposed to represent the people that we vote for.
Mhm.
Government and politicians are supposed to be accountable to us, not us accountable to them, unless
Agreed.
you break the rules that are set up by the people that we elected.
Agreed. But I don't think you can have without rules, you don't have
I
you
didn't
have
say
anarchy.
rules. I said fair
Laws.
rules.
Laws, but no, there's never been a country in the history of the world that didn't have a set of their rules that succeeded. It's never been
Rome
done.
did.
What's that?
Rome did.
They didn't
1400
last
years of
they didn't
civilized
last only
Europe.
they only lasted 200 years. We're the only
1400.
one. How many?
1400.
But the Roman Empire was 200 some years.
1400.
1400.
1400. Out of
So
the Roman Empire came the Byzantine Empire, came Constantinople.
okay. So so we're going into so you think we're going into a place where it could crumble.
It is crumbling as we speak.
Okay.
Not working. Now, let me ask you something. If I'm
Sure.
97 years old and I'm in Senate and Congress, how do
Mhm.
I know how 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds and then what their plights are?
They
One
will
term. One term. Administrative courses keep this. You can solve it immediately. One term. How could you be a president and campaign when you're already elected for almost 3 years? Who's running the White House while you're campaigning? And how is it fair? And all the corruption comes from lobbyists. So put a cap
I
on how
agree.
much and make it equal. And England, has a satisfactory government for a very long time,
Mhm.
6 weeks campaigning. So if we did
Okay.
6 months campaigning, one term, you'd never have a problem. Give everybody a fresh start. Out of Congress, out of Senate, your assemblymen are supposed to understand what people are going through now. Could somebody sit there 30 years know what you're going through right now in your community?
No,
That's why it's supposed to be a government for the people. I
but
don't
it'll
care if you're
never.
Republican. I don't care if you're Democrat. They
Mhm.
introduce ridiculous things and ridiculous bills. It's a bait and switch.
I agree. Look, I know a lot of people in government. I know a lot of people in government, and it's not. It's unfair that they put bills that have different things in it. Whereas one thing is for the military, and then abortion's on the bottom. Well, he signed. He was against abortion, and then it was. I get that. I get that. But what I do feel is then nothing will ever get accomplished. It'll be just be back and forth. They'll be going around in a
Let's
circle like a
make a
hamster.
deal.
Go ahead.
Dog and pony show.
I agree. I think it's professional wrestling. To be honest with you, I think they're good guys and bad guys, and in the
Professional
back.
wrestling is entertaining. This is nauseating.
But what I'm saying
Part of
is,
the reason is what the media does, and that's part of what I go back to mafia, Cosa Nostra, Italian,
mhm,
whatever it is. You go into a Polish neighborhood, you got a Polish bookmaker, not an Italian overseeing it. You go to a Jewish neighborhood, you got a Jewish bookmaker.
mhm.
Now, what they tried to give me life for what I'm doing, where most people got a pass, didn't even care. Follow me? Today
Well,
it's
they try to give
like
you
the
life for.
Catholic Church. If you eat meat on Friday, you go to hell. Now you can eat meat. What do? Let the 20 million people out of hell?
No, I think they're. I
Tell
think
me what
it's
happened to them. How about the
well.
Rockefeller laws with marijuana? Guys getting 10 and 15 years,
Mhm,
5 years. Now they tell you it's the healthiest thing in the world because the lobbyists are behind it.
right. I
What is
agree.
science today in this country is commerce tomorrow.
Mhm. So my question would be, how you change it?
How do you change it? It's what I'm doing, educating the youth. Have them listen to things, not watch this channel. You see the news and you have one perspective. Same thing happens there and you're swayed. Report accurately. Tell the truth. Give the facts.
I think we're beyond that, though. To be honest with you,
Right?
yeah, I think we are. I think the new media is the
Don't say
um.
podcast.
No, I think the
I've
new
never
media
heard so
is.
many ridiculous things in my life.
What's that now?
I've never heard so many ridiculous things in my life. They are rewriting history any way they want it.
Um, I think the
Everybody that has
people.
a podcast is an expert. Me, I'm an idiot. Show me.
I think you're an expert, though. I think
Teach
you're
me.
a great bookmaker. I do.
How do you know? Well, you bet with me, you would know.
I mean, I did, but back to Mr. Wizard, that was,
Yeah, it was
you were
me.
okay.
Actually, the feds gave me that name. When they were
They did.
listening, they were betting my picks, and they called me the ghost because they could never where they went, I never was.
It's amazing that they couldn't figure that out for the time being.
Well, I figured out their system, and I gave them a pinch here and there when they needed it.
So in retrospect, where do you see Chris Colombo 5 years from now?
Probably dead.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Well,
Well, I have a neurological Lyme disease that I've been
mhm.
battling for, and the only cure for it, I died from, and they gave me 6 months to live in 1998.
You died from it?
3 times, twice from the cure. I built up apoplectic shock.
Well, what's it like on the other side?
I'm going to tell you something. It was very nice. Only there's no food and no sex. So get as much of that as you can while you're here.
No, well, that's 0 for 2 for me. If no food, no
Yeah.
sex, I'm 0 for 2 here.
Um,
So
hey,
what
Anthony,
what
go ahead.
what exactly happened?
I had a dream. Uh, I've had double hip replacement, one shot.
Mhm,
I walked out of the hospital the third morning, got very close to the best hip doctor in the world, Dr. Jose Rodriguez. You've all seen MASH, Hawkeye Pierce.
mhm.
He was the Hawkeye Pierce of Afghanistan, colonel in the military. And there was a lot of minds and legs getting blown off. And he was a colonel in the military, a surgeon. He came here, he did me. And I never forget, he promised me that I could go home as soon as I could walk. So
Mhm.
he comes in the morning of the surgery and he wears a bow tie. Looks like Yul Brynner, very stately gentleman, very nice gentleman.
Mhm.
He draws a bow tie on whichever hip they're going to do so, because they could prep you and make a mistake with his marker. So he draws them on both hips. And he says, Chris, he says, this is in Lenox Hill Hospital. And I got him by accident. He's the doctor the doctors go to. He says, I know I told you to go home, but you got to do 7 to 10 days here and 2 weeks in what's the name of that rehab? It's after a woman's name. But anyway, so I says, Doc, I says, why is 7 to 10 days? Why 2 weeks? He says, well, you got to get up before you can leave the hospital with either crutches or a walker, walk around the hospital ward twice and go up and down these steps. But I said, I'll do that the next day. So then you got to be able to get out of bed without pulling the thing, use your walker, take a shower, be able to go to the bathroom, shave. So I'll do
Mhm.
that the second day. He said, I've never seen it. Sure enough, I did it. Then he comes in, he says, Chris, he says, and I got very friendly with the hospital. I'm a character. He says, you can't go to outpatient rehab, and we are in the Hudson Valley. We got nobody to send there. I said, Doc, way ahead of you.
Mhm.
Had the pickup truck came. I kind of commandeered all the stuff I need. I'll bring it back. I okayed it with, I schmoozed the administrator. I'm ready to go. Sure enough, we became the greatest of friends.
Uh-huh.
And
And you were
now
able
people are doing it in 3 days. I don't know
so
how
you
many
set
years
the
later.
bar. So
Because
you
every
set
time
the
I
bar.
walked into that office, I was a superstar. And I walked in, the guy says, I just did that. I looked at him, he says, you changed medicine. So
Essentially, you did, if you think about
not
it.
essentially the human spirit, the human will, getting back to meeting God. Okay, the Lyme disease took a toll on me. Very, very bad. They didn't give me my sleep apnea machine, which caused that. In jail, they wanted to croak me. And everybody hated me because I was snoring, and sleep is important in jail. So I needed double hip replacement. I had a enlarged heart. I had sinusitis. I was blind. I was deaf. Bell's palsy twice. You look at Quasimodo, you wake up your faces like
Yeah.
that. Strokes, many ones. What else did I
Oh, real
experience?
quick, Chris, were you bit by a tick that you got Lyme
Yes,
disease?
yes, and they
Okay, good.
misdiagnosed it in '98.
Okay, my ex-father-in-law just happened to him. Okay.
It just went through really bad. I had one in my chest for 8 months, and we thought it was the neurological kicking in. So the only cure for that I've went through is called Rocephin once it's in the brain. It's 13 strains of Lyme. I'm active on all 13. I had it under control.
Holy
I did the
cow.
holistic stuff. It was Rocephin. Found a doctor that had neurological Lyme. He said it a drip. You'd come 5 days a week because the parakeet hibernates, and it hit you with the entire needle in your vein. On weekends, you'd take orals. And when they woke up from that, they got attacked with that. Then he went back to he staggered it.
Okay. Smart guy.
What Lyme disease does to you is like what AIDS does to you. It lowers your immune system. It's an immune
Yeah.
deficiency disease, but
Mhm.
it's not communicable. So you don't actually die from the Lyme. It'll attack where you're weak because your body's constantly fighting. And how they tell you test positive is how many immunities are built up against the Lyme. That's what they test for. If you don't have Lyme, you don't need the immunity in your system.
Okay.
So I was going to the doctor that day. I needed double hip replacement. I had an enlarged heart. I needed 5 eye operations. I was legally blind. I was 8 million a year. I was a mess. I just had it. And people were just being more worse than people could be. Because when you're irritated and you have chronic fatigue syndrome and you're in pain and your joints are locking up and you're going through all this, you see the bad in people more than the good.
Yeah.
So I was disgusted. So I had a dream when I was sleeping. I woke up, my neck was sweaty. I had a dream that they would hit me with the paddle. So I had a 10 o'clock appointment at the doctor. I tussled with it. So I show up at 3 o'clock. I said, the Lord hates a coward. So I go into the doctor's office and I says, Doc, I'm going to die today. I says, don't revive me. Everybody down there, I used a bad word. And he laughs at me. So he walks me, says, go in a room. It's set up like a hallway with rooms on each side, examining rooms.
Mhm.
He goes, I think it was room 4. Across was 3. So I go room 4, and there's Michael Mazzarella there. He had a TV show called Street Court. And he's a bit of a character. And we had our first job together in the Masons Union. We got close. He lost his brother. A horrific car accident at a young age. He was the first one there.
Okay.
And I walk in, I says, you were in my dream. Now I know I'm going to die. And I cursed at him. He looked at me like I was crazy, just ran out. So the doctor walks in, and I move over to 3. And I says, Doc, all right. So at that time, he was giving me shots of B12 and hormone replacement because it lowers your testosterone level. He gives me
I
the
didn't
2 shots. And I tell him, if I die, don't revive me.
Mhm.
When I take the shots, I says, "Look at this. What an idiot. I didn't die." We're walking down the hallway because there's examining rooms. Here's his office, and here's where you leave. It's a long hallway. I says, "Doc, my mucus still looks like scrambled eggs. I can't beat the side." His face, Chris. I said, "Give me more amoxicillin." He says, "You've taken so many orals, they're useless. And once you get used to taking intravenous, your body's adapted. You need intravenous. Let me give you a shot of Rocephin." Now they switch Rocephin to the generic brand, and everybody tells you generic is the real. It's not, and I'm definitely afraid of Levelox. Plus, what was left of the Rocephin, I built a anaphylactic shock. So he puts it on, he gives it to me right in the vein. I start turning strawberry color. And I start sweating. And he's looking at me. I says, "I told you I was going to die." And I'm laughing at him hysterically. "You're right. You're right." Indian guy. And he starts screaming, "Call an ambulance." I says, "Doc," I says, "What are you, an idiot? Ambulance takes you to the doctor. I'm already here." He's going to take me to the morgue. I mean, what are we waiting for an ambulance for? I'm here. "What do I do?" He says. I says, "You're asking me?" I said, "You got about
The
30
doctor
seconds.
telling you
He's
this?
flopping on the floor. Yeah, he's panic stricken because so many people tell you they're going to die, and I just died for no reason. He's giving me the shot 100 times.
Okay.
So I says, "Epinephrine, give me an EpiPen." He didn't have an EpiPen, but he had
Oh
epinephrine,
my god.
but he gives it to me intravenously. So it takes me out of it. I was already put out. Now it hits me. And I felt like, did you ever see the movie Casino when Sharon Stone is holding the wall and she walks over?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I walk down the hallway. I feel stoned out of my mind. It stops my heart. I collapse. He holds me. With
Oh.
that, I look down. It was like a globe. The guy came out of a blip of water. I'm looking down, seeing myself. With that, it's not white, but it's light. It's energy. It's talking without talking, hearing without hearing, speaking without speaking, feeling without feeling, knowing without knowing. I didn't smell anything, but that's one of the senses that bypass the hypothalamus, so maybe it doesn't exist there. So naturally, I says, yeah, "Is that you?" And he says, "Who do you expect?" I said, "I thought I had a 50-50 shot." So he sensed that he laughed. I said, "Yeah, it's me." He says, "Didn't you get my dream?" "Of course I got your dream." So, "Well, what'd you come here for?" "The Lord hates a coward." I said, "You're the big guy. If I'm going to go wherever I am. Who cares?" I said, "Besides, everybody down there is a CS." I says, "I'm tired. I packed my lunch. Where's my parents? I need unconditional love. I've had enough."
Oh, shit.
With that, he says, "What are you, an idiot?" I says, "I came here for God to call me an idiot." He says, "I know how smart, Shah, I made you. So I need you to remember something. I am people, people are me. If you lose faith in people, you've lost faith in me." With that, he kicks me in the ass. I wake up with the paddles, right?
Mhm.
I says, "All right." So now I'm telling him, "Could I go to sleep?" And who was there is my daughter became an MTA as part of medical school and all that. She was with the guys there. Said, "I never seen a guy like that before." So
Mhm.
now, doctor, I wake up. I'm in Cornwall Hospital, and he's crying. It's hit my arm. I feel water on it. I wake up, and he's going, "Don't kill me. Don't sue me." And meanwhile, Michael Masrell's a lawyer. He says, "Chris, stay in there. We'll sue the guy." I say, "Hey, hung up on him." He says, "I take him to court." He says, "I fucked up." He says, "Excuse the language from the children out there." He said, "These are his words." He says, "Could you forgive me, please?" I said, "Listen, I met God. I told you I was going to die." I says, she said, "But you were laughing." I said, "Well, I'm so happy I was right, not nuts." So now I feel down by my ankle, and it's a long round cylinder right to the mid calf. I said, "This is a good God. Look what he sent me back with." I said, "This is God." When you die, you lose control and you go to the bathroom. Then I figured out I took a shower. And then he transported me to a bigger hospital when the epinephrine wore off. I may go back into anaphylactic shock.
Mhm.
So they wanted me for observation. So when I got there, they wanted to put me in a room with a, forget about it. I don't even want to go into the story. I said, "I'm leaving." So they rolled my bed in one of those day rooms. I called the girl I was eating. I said, "Pick up a bottle of scotch and some Chinese food. I'm starving." I said, "Hey, get some nurse lingerie." Yes, this is going to be the best. I'm coming back to life. I need some food, but we can't get there.
Where was this in New York?
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
yeah.
What
Every
hospital?
time I go to this doctor's office, the greatest show on earth. He can't panic. He can't do what he should do with his patients. You're the doctor.
And he's still alive, the
It
doctor?
was divine intervention and angelic, and he's on and on about it.
Your that doctor's still alive currently?
Yeah, Dr. Sigma via Sig, call him.
Oh my
That
god.
line
Well, I
is
don't know if I'd
nice
call
to
him.
know.
If he
Just make
hit you with
sure
the
you're
wrong
not
stuff.
allergic to level locks.
Yeah, make sure, you gotta tell him those things.
Yeah.
The second the doctor tells me I effed up, I don't think I'm going back there. I think I'd
It really wasn't his fault because he didn't realize the generic brand had things in it, the original did.
oh, okay. I see.
And in this
So
panic, he didn't give me intramuscular to save me. He gave me intravenous epinephrine.
okay. So either way, though, you're out of it. You're here. So
Anyway, it was by God's hand, and who am I blaming?
yeah. So you're here. You're not going to die. In 5 years,
We're all
we're
gonna die,
oh,
but
well. I know no one makes it out of here alive. I can tell you that.
no.
But we're in 5 years. Do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself? As far as career wise, like what are you doing now that you want to that you're improving on, and what do you see?
What I'm doing now is I got a funding and financial. The two of the gentlemen that are involved in it are with me there. I was on Wall Street. I was involved in two brokerage firms.
Mhm.
I was involved in a mortgage company, an international bank. They also call me the wizard in business. That was part of the things. I see
Mhm.
what's wrong with things right away.
Well, that's
My
very
time is spending. The way I took it from God was everybody complains about the younger generation, so have faith in them and train them, and realize that there's things that they know that you don't.
yeah. We tend to sometimes as we get older blame the younger generation for stuff. Um, there are some
Now
things
I'm
I think.
12 years old. I'll tell you that right now.
What's that now?
I'm 12 years old. I like that age is good.
So hey, you could be as if you're as youthful as that and you look that good. I'll tell you, it's good for
Listen,
you.
I tell you, I feel like 386.
Well, that's because you've been the dead 3 times. You told me, so that would take a toll
Why?
on you.
There's no
It would
why.
take a toll on you.
It's in my
Yeah,
medical
but
records.
you look like you're getting better. Um, I would.
What do you call getting better?
Well, I mean, putting a cigarette in your mouth now is probably not the best thing to do.
There's no cigarettes there either.
Oh boy, you'd be
First thing
pissed
I did
off.
when I got one, I was a little nervous. I asked one. I'll tell you this, God doesn't smoke. He doesn't like secondary smoke.
Well, well, then you're shit out of luck there, buddy.
Yeah, no.
Um, where do you think the future is now for Chris Colombo? Are you gonna keep,
I go where
you're
God puts me. I do the best I can. If I'm capable of giving 30% that day, I give it. I put my hand on the pillow. If I could give 90 and I do 50, I try harder.
oh, that's a good way to look at it, I can tell you that. So where can they find you, Chris? The podcast, which by the way, again, I say it is the greatest title I have ever heard of podcast. Uh, you know,
Well, that's what it was about. Who cared about the money? It was taking the action.
that is the greatest thing because your character comes out in the podcast. And if anyone hasn't subscribed yet, please do. And I can tell you, if I had picks like you did, I'd actually win. But
This year, if I could go to just one team, Anthony, my main team is stood up every week, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
that wasn't as
He's one of these
confident.
stats guys, and I'm helping him along. It isn't like I said, but they want 3 and 4. It's not there sometimes.
Okay.
There's always that one, and some weeks there isn't.
Okay.
So
But
I choose
again,
down for the main one, and my pick this week was the Vikings that stood up. I
what
like
about
the high
next week?
score.
What do you like
Uh,
next week there?
we're gonna go over it in a few minutes.
Well, I got a team. I want to know your pick for.
Okay.
Ravens, Bengals. Love the Bengals. They got a little shaky there, but they're getting hot.
I'm gonna tell you something. Burrows can throw a ball like nobody's seen. He makes things happen. The team believes in him. Cincinnati's an action town. Uh, the Ravens are the old Browns, and the Browns are the old somebody. I'm a little confused, but it is a rivalry, and that's a division game, right? Division games, I like to take the points inherently, but Baltimore is one of those teams that is playing very good ball. But Cincinnati didn't come that close too many years for no reason, and that guy's a competitor, and it's a good coaching staff. Those are games I like to watch. But inherently, people want to bet games they want to watch. I like to bet games I would never watch.
What do you think of the Jaguars?
They're coming in. I think they're a young team. I think they're aggressive. I think they caught the 49ers at a bad time because they needed to win. The 49ers are a balanced team. They're a very, very good organization.
Mhm.
Doesn't take 17 games to win a Super Bowl. And if you keep that intensity, I mean, the only person that's ever done it was Don Shula, go undefeated and win it. The time Belichick tried it, he lost the Super Bowl. So there was an old thing, when are we going to drop one? The Pittsburgh Steelers have said it inherently. When are we going to drop one so we get their
Right.
jinx off us? So it's who peaks at the right time and who doesn't beat up their players. Like Dallas Cowboys like to beat up on worse teams. Me, why would you risk an injury? I'd have my third string in.
Right.
Taking my
Yeah.
second string to give them give them experience. You follow me? Number one, in
Yep.
case somebody gets hurt. Number two, why risk them? I mean, you've seen the way Aaron Rodgers went down. It could happen to anybody. You see how many times Zach Prescott has gone down. Now, you want to lose a franchise quarterback or a franchise player when you're up by 35 points? I wouldn't do it.
Do you like the Jets or Giants at all?
The Jets have performed for me admirably. I gave the Jets out. I meant to give the under. But the way I handicapped them, if they could score one touchdown or stop the other team and not even score a touchdown, they would win the game.
Yeah.
Thought they were capable of it. Zach Wilson, I don't know what's happening with him. I don't know why they keep him.
Do you like him or no? You don't think he's?
I don't dislike any.
No. I'm saying, do you think like him? Meaning, can he take the Jets to the next level? No. He's
got the team. He's got a defense that keeps him in the game and wins games without scoring a touchdown.
I know. It's
if they stop last week, if they stopped the team from scoring, the Raiders, and that was why it was my pick, because it was a new coach, it was a new quarterback, it was a new everything. They didn't stop him.
Yeah.
Or if they scored one touchdown, they win. He was incapable of scoring a touchdown, and every time he's in place, that offensive unit is in confusion.
Right.
Offsides, delay a game, illegal substitution, illegal motion, name it. I mean, it's a comedy of errors, and at the precise time is when they're rolling to break their momentum.
Yeah, I've been a Jets fan for forever, and I just can't anymore. I can't deal with it.
I don't understand why they didn't reach out and get Dobbs. He would have been a perfect fit for that team.
Do you think he would have?
Minnesota.
Okay, I mean, that makes sense. But they're really, I just think they should have just bagged it right out of the gate. Said, okay, go with Zach Wilson or not go with him. Whatever you're going to do, don't put Aaron Rodgers as the guy that's coming. They're banking on Aaron Rodgers coming back. Which
is what they're doing and they're not doing. There's an obligation to win today.
They got to win. They have to win now, because it's not, and the NFL is not. It's never forgiving. If you can lose one player and that's it. But
he's a talented physical quarterback. I just don't think he's got it together mentally yet, because every time there's a broken player, he doesn't think he's the no huddle he's good at.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. And I don't know what it is with him. He can't put it together. He just can't. And the only reason why
might be, I don't know.
Yeah. The only reason I wear a Raiders hat, by the way, is because my stepson lives in Vegas. That's it.
That Raiders, they're bad boys of football.
Well, I just like Vegas.
Playoffs against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They came out with their uniforms axle grease. They made them go inside and change them. Fred Biletnikoff didn't even wear shoulder pads. He just dunked himself and stick them.
That's unbelievable. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, they've always been that way. Otis Sistrunk, bad boys of football, always.
Wild West. That was when NFL was good.
I like the Raiders. They're psychotic. John Madden is one of my favorite coaches.
Well, John Madden was a great coach. He was one of the original.
Out of his mind.
Out of his mind, original, ahead of his game, ahead of his time. One of the more celebrated coaches. Let's put it that way.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was.
He didn't put his playbook to make the players fit it. He made a playbook for what he had.
That's smart. I do that with a lot of my fighters too. Some of these fighters don't have, they're shorter, so they don't have a great jab.
I got a 13-inch reach.
Do you?
But I get inside. Nobody hits like me.
Hey, you know what? I could set it up where you and Mike Tyson would go at it. I mean,
I like Mike Tyson. I said that as a joke. I think he took it seriously. He was supposed to do some motivational speaking for children. My thing is, if you're going to fight a tough guy. I never like bullies. And I always let somebody hit me first, usually because I have to. I have no reach.
Yeah, but get on the inside. You could do some damage. I can tell you that.
Do a lot of damage.
Did you ever box?
I had 3 amateur fights.
Okay. Well, that's actually more than most people.
How I got into boxing, we used to live half time in Brooklyn, come up here, go to school, and then go back to Brooklyn, take my finals. My father in this house didn't want us in the city in the summer, hanging around, getting into trouble. So we came up here, and there weren't many people from the city, even though I was born up here, because I popped out when we sold the house at 77th Street. While we built the one on 65th, we lived in our summer home.
Okay.
So I got made fun of. So I come up here, they make fun of me from the city, but I was really from up here. And I go down there, and they make fun of me from being up here. So
Yeah.
it was that big city country thing at the time.
Yeah. No, I know. When I go back home, it's kinda like it's a city, and when I come back here, I'm in rural Pennsylvania. I don't
I
you
like
know,
that.
it's a
A lot
great
of
state.
time. So anyway,
Where'd you go? Did you go to Lewisburg?
McKeon, uh, Canaan. I only got one in a camp and graduated in a penitentiary. That's tough to do.
There's Camp Hill, there's Lewisburg. Lewisburg's the big one here.
I don't know. My
That
brother was
that's a big one. I pass by there every day. But they have a big university here we deliver bagels to.
yeah. What's the name of it?
Bucknell University.
Bucknell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah, we deliver
I used to go out on Friday nights, right? I used to visit on Saturday. So
mhm.
I'd have a friend or two that get so drunk they'd pass out. They'd wake up in the parking lot because I didn't want a company. I didn't want to drive back alone. And then they ended up going to Bucknell. One time, a friend of mine, I came in the morning. He had nothing but a robe, but a girl gave him a Bucknell shirt. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Because
Yeah.
in the penitentiary, you couldn't stay in the car. So they come over the loudspeakers, have
Oh,
guns
shit,
on you,
yeah.
you have to leave.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great area. It's a very
There were a
nice
lot of
area.
nice people when I was visiting there.
Yeah, no, it's nice. The university is great there. It's
The
they do
prison, too.
is the prison, a large prison?
Pretty sizable prison, older prison, yeah. I
It's what
used to sit
amazing.
with, Jimmy Burke, nice man, every Saturday.
The Senta twins are still there. I think they're coming out soon, though.
Yeah.
They're coming out soon. They're there. Um, it's an area where it surprises me that the penitentiary is there because
Why?
it's an area where it's
Outside of Texas, Pennsylvania has more penitentiaries than any place in the world.
I think because they got more of the land in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah,
and then you have it there for it's pretty spacious.
yeah.
But why I say that is because you have a lot of the doctors and then the professors live there. Everybody wants to build more prisons, but not in my backyard. You know what I mean? So it shocks me that
What's
it's
the
boom
difference?
right there. What's that?
What's the difference? They're not escaping.
No, I mean, but you just know how it is. People don't want the nuclear plant down the block. It provides more power than anything, and they're like, "Oh, the power, if that ever leaked." Well,
People are weird.
hey, aren't we all?
Bad journalism.
You're gonna stick with that. You're gonna stick with the bad journalism.
Oh, you have no idea.
I know.
When
I
I was
know.
on trial, I would read what they wrote the next day, and nothing ever happened that they said did. It was amazing. Till you go through it, you don't realize how bad it is.
Yeah, no, I know, and I tell you what, you really stood up there. You took it for what it was. But I know you have a heart out
All
here.
these
You're going
guys
to
say they're tough guys. I mean, the minute they tell on their mother, their father, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, and those are the guys that commit the most heinous crimes because I believe they have a backdoor out. Things that a real man wouldn't do because he takes responsibility for his actions.
Did you ever have well, you were facing life, so that was
Yeah,
oof.
but they gave me 6 months to live, so to me, life didn't really matter.
Well, you beat the
I would've
odds.
made it in there because of the medical. So
Yeah,
whatever.
but you beat the odds, and it looks to
Take an
me like
action. The idea is to beat the odds.
well, that's what I mean. It just fits with your and no anyone who hasn't watched the podcast or subscribed to the podcast, please
We
do.
try
It's
to have
taking
some fun too. When it stops being fun, stop doing it.
that's what I mean. It looks like
If I could get them down to one team a week, I will guarantee them a 94% victory rate.
well, you heard it here first on the podcast here. There's a Potter Brand podcast that is what you're going with.
It's the truth. It's what I've done all my life. It's what I did now. But they want more and more. If I don't, then I got to say I'm leaning. People want to bet. I want to teach them.
Gambling is a very to me, I love it, but you can get in trouble quick.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
You've dated in your life, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ask out 10,000 women a day, or did you find one you really liked and thought was special?
Well, there was a time in my life where I asked
I'm
out a
not
whole
talking about
bunch.
puberty. Going on. I'm talking about when you were serious.
Yeah, yeah, you
All right,
you you
well,
you do.
the effects are the same way. Pick the one you really like. If you go for too many, they're gonna get angry with you.
Yeah, I love I tell you, you really can break it down, and you have such a great analogies,
Make it simple.
um, that you make it simple, and it's great. But Taking Action with Chris Colombo, it's a great podcast. And Chris, it was a pleasure to have you on and talk to
Anytime
you here.
you're more than welcome to be here. I'm a big fan of boxing.
I love boxing, and that's why when I talked to my brother, he said that you had, and I thought you were mainly football too, but the boxing, when the big fights come up, I want to have you on. I want to have you on with, I'm real good friends with
Teddy
two British.
Atlas you had on, and I'm a big fan of Teddy's.
He's a great guy.
Big
He's a
fan of
great
what
guy.
he does with kids. We do similar.
Yeah,
He's very
we're
advanced in his sports, and he's advanced at building men also.
yeah.
He learned how to be a man. And I'll tell you a story how I met him. He was very close with my uncle. My uncle got a stroke, needed hip replacement, had bad diabetes. And Teddy went to the hospital every day and motivated and got him out of there after 16 months. And without him, he would have never came home. He passed away from it afterwards. But he never would have came home and enjoyed his family for the period of time. It was Teddy, and I thank him.
Teddy's a great guy. He has been kind enough to reach out to my brother and I. We're going to be at the Dr. Atlas Foundation dinner tomorrow, Thursday.
Give him my regards, please, and tell him I said thank you.
I absolutely will. He is a tremendous guy. He's extremely generous. His dad was top of the food chain, and Teddy's father would go to the projects, take care of people who didn't have insurance, never charge them.
Everybody wants to save the good ones. I want to save the ones that are on the borderline or what people say is no good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do here.
That's a great outlook, and we appreciate that. I know.
After the grace of God, go I.
Yes, that's a great way to look at it. So, Chris, again, we'd love to have you back on when the fights come closer, and we appreciate it. Go to Taking Action. Again, I love that title, Taking Action with Chris Colombo. Subscribe to his channel. It's a great channel. This guy is really a character. I mean, what you see is what you get, and that is it projects across the camera very well.
Yeah, but again, good people, because when they lose, they say, "God, what did I do to deserve this?" It's a karma thing.
Yes, it is. So again, Chris, thank you for being a guest here,
brother.
I will. Thank you very much.
I'll do anything for Italian, any place, anywhere.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Not that I'm prejudiced towards them.
No,
to them, but I love all people.
We're good people.
God never made a bad Italian except the slow pigeons. Their names get changed.
Again, Chris, thanks for coming.
So long.
Appreciate it.
Keep punching.
We will.
Thanks for watching the Zapata Brand Podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen where all podcasts are available.